one hand, you might say, our deepest moral commitments are passion. So I mentioned earlier about, for example, a couple of kinds of people. And you remember I talking about this when I talked about the Righteous Mind, the book The Righteous Mind, where he described that there are different kinds of passions that people have that are mostly unconscious, may have to do with personality, certainly shaped by your culture, which is the underlying structure for the rest of your moral commitments. He brought up two examples. One is fairness. There are some people that by their nature, their personality, their training, their culture, and so forth, they are very deep believers in fairness. There's a process for doing things. You do it the right way. You get in line. You don't cut the line. So often as people who are very devoted to fairness, one of their reasons they don't approve in amnesty for illegal immigration, for example, is they say they broke the line. There's a law. There's a process. You can't just break the law because you feel like it. Now, as I talk to them, I don't detect personally any animosity toward Hispanics. Their animosity is toward the idea that people think that they get to break the line, break the law, and just do things because the law is not convenient for them. They're very passionate about it. Now, I happen not to be passionate about it. I have a much more liberal sense of what to do with the problem of illegal immigration in this country. I think I have a due regard for fairness, but I think for me, the issue is much more complex than the issue of fairness. On the other side, Jonathan Haidt, H-A-I-D-T, in this book, The Righteous Mind, says there's another kind of person whose focus is on compassion as opposed to fairness. And compassion is, if somebody's suffering, we have to alleviate their suffering, find out the facts later. Right? So there's a big movement toward, if there's someone here illegally and they're suffering, then legalize them. And if there's not enough of one race group getting into college, then we created an affirmative action program. So everything is about alleviating suffering or apparent unfairness. Figure the details out later. We must treat suffering. The fairness people say, well, then there's no law, there's no justice, there's no procedure. It's all based on feelings. Then they say, well, you're a cold-hearted person that doesn't care about suffering. Then they escalate and they scream at each other. Okay? Now, what Haidt says in this is, by the way, he has 6 different areas, which you might say are core passions. Passion for compassion, passion for fairness, and so forth. And it's a beautiful meditation on what it's like to understand what your core passion is and the core passions of other people and how to talk to each other. Meaning, my core passions are axiomatic. Meaning, I don't see them as up for discussion. They're up for review. They're up for critique. But you're probably not going to change my basic personality and worldview, although I'd be happy to talk about it. Nor would I be interested in changing your basic personality and worldview. It's possible that we could change each other, but it takes a lot of work to change a person who's pretty well thought out. One thing that we can do is fund each other with greater facts. There may be things I don't know that you know. We could share more facts. The other thing that we can do is reason from axioms and facts to policies that actually make sense. And here's the problem with running only from passion, is that you oftentimes can't explain your position. You get mad at people who differ with you. You have no ability to persuade them, and it just escalates into animosity. So when I think about Hanukkah, this opposite of, you might say, the passion for justice side, which is Jerusalem, and sophistry, I think both actually are incorrect. This is a time that I like to propose, much more of an integration, which is understand your core passions and axioms deeply.
Shalom tova uveracha. Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom tova uveracha. Ay 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 ay. Sim shalom, sim